This painting is dated 1916. An artist by the name of Claude Monet painted it in the garden of his home in Giverny, where a pond of water lilies had been built at his request. The reason Monet wanted a lily pond comes from the fact that he had collected many ukiyo-e paintings and had a strong interest in Japanese art. It is likely that he wanted to have a pond of water lilies similar to those ukiyo-e paintings. Water lilies and weeping willows are associated with Japanese plants. The lily pond that Monet had built is characterized by a great number of such Japanese plants growing on its banks, such as irises, Chinese peonies, and bamboo. In particular, Monet even had a number of water lily bulbs sent to him from Japan. Records show that an art dealer named Tadamasa Hayashi sent Monet these bulbs. Fortunately, this painting has not been given a lining. The process of lining a painting involves attaching another layer of canvas to the back of the first one and pressing it in order to reinforce the painting. Since this painting has not gone through that treatment, its surface has not been flattened. Thus, we can see the energy of Monet's brushstrokes as they were originally painted. There are several places where the paint is raised and tapers into a point. The incredible vividness of the strokes that we see here makes it clear that Monet wielded his brush with a great deal of energy. If you look closely, there are sometimes even fine bristles from his brush mixed in with the paint. In this way, this piece allows us to see the original traces of how Monet painted it. Looking closely, especially in this area here, you can see lines coming up from the bottom. They depict the weeping willow on the bank of the pond, reflected on the water's surface. Thus, this painting first has a layer depicting the water lilies and lily pads on the surface of the water. This is followed by another layer, in which the reflection of the surrounding plants is depicted on the water's surface. In other words, the surface of the water is treated as a mirror. Finally, if you look deeper, even the underwater plants in the pond itself are depicted in yet another layer. This is a complex composition in which even plants that are not directly visible are depicted. While this painting is a 2 meter by 2 meter square, Monet would gradually shift to using horizontally oriented canvases later on. He even painted several pieces that were about 6 meters wide. Currently, those works are now collected together in 2 elliptical rooms at the Musée de l'Orangerie in Paris. In one of those rooms, there are 4 large water lily paintings which form an ellipse. When inside this room, you feel as though you are surrounded by nature. Monet had never been to Japan, and in those days, the sliding door paintings known as fusumae were not available in Paris. It may be possible that Monet read about them in the notes on Japanese art made by a friend who traveled to Japan. At any rate, these paintings give the impression that they are influenced by fusumae paintings. When you close the sliding fusuma doors on each side of a room, a single continuous space is created. People sit in that space and enjoy the atmosphere created by birds and flowers, or by a scene of a tiger emerging from a bamboo grove. In this sense, the fusumae paintings are a kind of environmental art. Monet wanted to create an environment that surrounded people with water lilies, and thus he started using wider canvases. It is thought that he was introducing a new way of viewing art. In this case, one also experiences spatial and visual sensations while viewing a piece. While we don't have any of those large rectangular paintings here, I hope that you view this work by coming up close to it and imagining that you are immersed in its scenery.